Hello!
Hi.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Brad.
And we are Audio Show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited we're back.
I'm so excited we're back and talking about an audiobook.
Audiobooks!
Audiobooks!
So we're going to be reviewing the audiobook Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas.
Yes. Narrated by Ave Roque.
This was a 12-hour and 14-minute book.
And it felt like it.
It felt like it. So before we get into our thoughts about the content, let's talk about the narration.
Okay, yes. So, but first we have to talk about what the book is. So, Lost in the Neverwood is about Wendy Darling, who you all may know and love or hate, depending on your feelings about her, as the girl from Peter Pan. So, it's been 5 years since Wendy and her brothers went into Neverland, and then only Wendy came back. She doesn't know what happened to her two brothers. They're gone, and weird stuff starts happening in the waking real world. I just said waking world as if it's like Neverland is a dream, but it basically kind of is. Very,
very much. And she kind of forgets about Neverland.
Yeah, she kind of forgets about Neverland and Peter Pan. She only tells him his stories to her nursing children.
Because she's like a nurse.
But she's not a nurse because she's only 17/18.
I don't really understand the whole education
aspect.
I think
she's a volunteer.
Maybe she was like a candy striper.
Yes.
Oh, is that it?
I think that's it, but it wasn't said as a candy striper.
No.
But that's what it reminds me of.
It kept saying pre-med.
Yes.
I was like, what?
I was like, she's not in college yet.
Confused.
Yes. But anyway, so weird stuff starts happening. Children in the real world start disappearing, and Wendy has to join forces with Peter Pan because he comes back and figure out what is happening to his magic and to these children, and also where did her brothers go?
Where they be at?
So that's pretty much where we're at with the story, and now we can talk about the narration.
Yes. Okay. So I just want to say, Aiden Thomas's Cemetery Boys was one of my favorite books last year, and it was narrated by Avi. I loved it. Perfection. With Lost in the Neverwoods, it wasn't my favorite.
It felt like sometimes there was some awkward pausing that happened. Like the words that were being read weren't really certain at certain points. And so sometimes it just felt like there were long pauses and gaps. And also most of the other characters I could see envisioned.
Yes.
With Avi's reading of them, the characterizations and everything. But Wendy, I had a problem with. I couldn't see her.
I couldn't see her either.
But all the other ones I could.
Yes.
And so Wendy was just difficult. And I also feel like it was because Wendy was written very... I didn't like Wendy.
No, she was kind of annoying.
Yes. She was very, very, I said two varies, but really I mean one very. She was very annoying because I still feel bad because the girl lost her two brothers.
Yeah.
Her dad is wow, verge of abusive. And her mom is, sweet but withdrawn and doesn't give her the love and emotion that Wendy needed after coming back and being a kidnapped victim.
Yeah.
So they thought that she doesn't have a good home life. But she was still just kind of obnoxious in my mind.
I agree. Now, one of the narration, one of the characters that I did feel the narration was perfection for was the Shadow.
Yes.
The Shadow was so good.
Avi, you are so creepy. And I mean that in the best way possible.
In the best way.
Your fear and guilt are especially... It inhaled a deep, rattling breath. Delicious.
Oh, no! Why?
Oh my god, it's such
so
a
creepy.
good voice for that character.
So good. And also for Peter and for Jordan, the best friend of Wendy. Amazing. Wendy's dad freaked me out too.
He just gave me heebie-jeebies.
As I felt nervous whenever he was described as coming home as well, which is what Wendy was feeling. So the emotions and everything were really great. I just feel like maybe Avi didn't connect with Wendy so much in the narration portion, but connected with everybody else.
Yeah.
And also maybe Avi felt that Wendy was a little bit of an obnoxious person.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know.
I think the character of Wendy in general, it's not a very exciting character.
I never got excited for Wendy.
She has always been, so I feel like she's always been on a high horse.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've been in this beautiful land of Neverland, but I'm never going to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And, oh, Peter can't take me away even though I really want to go.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, Wendy, get your little curly cues out of here.
It's like, get off it.
Yeah. I
Turn the light off.
Much more interested in her brothers throughout the story because they had like personalities.
Yes,
like
yes.
in like the Peter Pan like story and also the Disney Channel, Disney Channel original movie.
I was gonna say
the Disney animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was just always more interested. I was even more interested in the dog.
Yeah.
Than I was Wendy.
Mm-hmm. I do love that dog.
Like Nana is like perfection.
Yes.
But also just I felt like Peter was always the story, and so it was kind of, I don't want to say strange, but it was just a little off-putting that we were in Wendy's point of view for all this. Like, we were following Wendy's story, and we weren't following Peter's.
I would have loved to follow Peter's.
Yeah.
Like, that battle between Peter and the Shadow.
And what was happening in Neverland. Like,
I wanted to see Neverland. I didn't want to be in Wendy's life.
I didn't want to be in these Lost Woods.
Like, how long did it take for her to decide what she wanted to do with her future?
How long did it take her to decide what she was going to get from the ice cream parlor?
That's true.
Like, that took a while.
That was like pages.
That was. Like, it was, like, there were just some moments that I felt could have been chopped out that were unnecessary.
Yeah.
And this back and forth with, like, oh, will Peter, like, confide in her? Will she confide in Peter? Will she believe Peter? And then they, like, went out on this date, which took, like, a good portion of time, I would say. And I had this sped up to 2.0.
Yes. Mine was fast, too.
And that date still took at least, like, 10 minutes of sped up time.
Also, how do we feel about the romance between Peter and Wendy? I feel like Peter deserves better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
sorry, Wendy, but you're not it.
I mean, her name's Wendy. I mean, come on.
Nothing against Wendy's.
Well, I do like their fries.
You worked there for how many years? But seriously, like, nothing against the Wendy's of the world.
Yes.
But just like this Wendy embodied what I feel about a Wendy. You know, like when you think of Wendy.
Yeah, I feel like.
Like you think of this person who's just kind of neutral.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Yes.
I'm not saying that Wendy's can't be unique and amazing, because most of them probably are.
I feel like she's like an average day farm girl.
Yes, we are trying so hard not to like be offensive, but sometimes we can't help it. And this Wendy didn't fit.
Yes.
She just wasn't it.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
I wanted a Wenda or a Wanda.
A Wanda.
A Wanda. Wandas are good.
Or we just wanted Peter. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, yeah, that kind of spilled over into the content of the book.
Yes, it did. And more about the content. I also felt like it was a nice YA thriller / fantasy.
Yeah.
There aren't many of those out there, I feel like. And I feel like it took a lot of kind of tropes within the like adult thriller world, which I enjoyed, especially I think that's why I like the ending so much.
Yes.
Because I was just like, oh darn, that was a twist.
Yeah.
A twist I should have saw coming, but I didn't.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. A lot of the book was very slow until you got to about that last, I would say 45 to an hour.
Yeah.
That's when it started picking up. That's when you got resolution. And you kind of understood what the book was about a little bit, because it is very much fantasy. There's a lot of fantasy based. It is Neverland kind of esque. But then there's also this like real crime that happens. And the two are not related at all, except for just one little smidge where it was like Wendy's coping mechanism.
Yes. And if you think about Peter Pan in general, like that story or like what people think of, like the truth behind Peter Pan's longing to be young all the time.
Yeah, the E! True Hollywood story.
Yeah. Like, that's sad.
It's very sad.
And a lot of that crept into this.
Yeah. And also Peter like aged rapidly, so he was not like the 12 to 14-year-old boy that we all know. He comes in that way, but then with the real world and the depletion of his magic, he starts aging rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why there's a romance between late teen Wendy and late teen Peter, or Wendy and Peter, because they both end up being late teens.
Yes.
In the book at a certain point.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget when he hit him with the car.
She did.
Ran his ass over.
I mean, he kind of fell out of the sky.
He did. He was like,
So we need the dash cam footage
Yes.
of that to determine who was at fault.
yes, because no consequences were held.
There were no consequences to her hitting this boy, who was a true boy at that point. Like, he was like 12.
Got her license not taken away.
No, she just got like taken to the hospital, and then Peter was looked at as the criminal.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yes, he was.
And I was like, what is happening
I was like,
here?
someone put that girl in a aggressive driving class.
And then did nobody question why she was there at the end? Like, literally, Wendy showed up to every crime scene just being like, I found these.
Oopsie.
Like, you ran over a boy, you found some evidence, and then you, like, solved the crime.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
But she wasn't looked at as a suspect?
Nope.
I'm suspicious.
Very. So, a 12-hour audiobook. I think it should have been a 2-hour audiobook. I think it should have been a short story.
Yes.
And it would have wrapped up really nicely if it was just more in a nice package.
Yeah, like compact.
There's so much fluff.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, nothing can happen to the story now. It's out. It's there. It's here for our ears and our eyes. But we're just saying, in our perfect world, in our Neverland, this would be a short story about coping and trauma and just your imagination.
Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Libro FM, for supplying us with this free audiobook in exchange for an honest review. And I do think that I would not listen to this again, but I would give Cemetery Boys a try, because I have not listened to that. Please.
And I did like Avi's voice a lot.
Yes.
But I just did not like them for this part.
Yes.
But it's because I didn't like Wendy.
I can't agree more.
Ugh, Wendy. Ugh.
But yes, I probably would not listen to this. However, I would listen to this audiobook like on a road trip to
the woods.
Like a camping trip.
Oh, I would.
Woods.
You like horror movies.
I do.
I would not do this when I was going to the camping trip, because we're telling you that shadow was legit scary.
It was
like
delicious.
Ooh, it was horrific in my mind. Like, I was getting ready for bed and I was sure I was gonna have a nightmare. It was ew.
I got chills.
Ugh. But anyway, I probably would not do that. I would maybe listen to it on the ride home from the camping. But again, I don't think I would listen to it again, and I probably would shove it.
Yes. I think I'm going to shove it as well. It's unfortunate because I was looking forward to this audiobook so much.
Yeah, sorry.
But, you can't win, you can't love them all, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know in the comments what we should listen to next. And please feel free to subscribe to our channel. That's your thing.
Then ring the bell.
Yes.
Press that little bell thing to get notifications.
Yes. And also follow us on our various social medias. We are on Instagram at AudioShelfMe, Twitter at AudioShelfMe, and Facebook at AudioShelf.
Yes.
All right.
Whew. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.